Here is your gentle reminder to get your water and drink it. Chug it. Chug yourself some water. You probably haven't had enough water today. So get your water out and take a big drink. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Carly. I'm a labor and postpartum doula, and I create content all about pregnancy and labor and motherhood and pretty much everything that falls in between. And if you're new here, you probably don't know, I am currently pregnant with our second baby. I am in the third trimester and quickly approaching my due date. So lots of exciting things happening here. But I just wanted to sit down today and do like a quick get ready with me and kind of chit chat and just, I don't know, kind of open up a little bit about my mindset as I am getting closer to my due date and closer to going into labor, and just kind of give you guys an update about how I'm feeling and where my mind is at. I have a lot of thoughts, and it's funny, I sat down the other day when I was kind of in like the heat of the moment and pretty emotional, and I wanted to talk to you guys about everything that I was thinking and feeling, and my microphone was dead. So I have all this footage of me sitting on my bed crying, eating eggs and avocado toast, and it's just silent, and it's like the most pathetic thing I've ever watched. But I still want to talk about some of the things that I touched on whenever I filmed that, but this time a little more calm, a little more neutral, a little more collected. I've processed a lot of feelings and don't find that I feel like I'm gonna cry this time around. So that's a good start. In the hell? But I have a midwife appointment in a couple of hours, so I am just gonna go ahead and get ready for my day, and figured I would get ready with you guys and we can chat. But before we jump into it, if you are not yet already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as a part of this empowering community, especially as I get closer and closer to my due date. I'm so freaking excited to be able to share my birth story with you guys. We have someone who is going to be doing like a film for us for the birth, and I can't wait to be able to share that with you guys too. So if that's the type of content that you enjoy and are interested in, definitely subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it so far. And I'm not going to walk through all the products that I'm using because it's the same products that I always use. I'll have a link in the description box where you can see every single thing that I'm using. I haven't changed a single thing about my makeup routine in almost, like, I don't know, 8 months now, pretty much this entire pregnancy, which is kind of crazy. I like to try new things all the time, but I have a really good routine that I'm enjoying right now. So if you see something that you're interested in knowing more about, it's in the description. I will also put a link for this robe in the description. I was talking about this on Instagram the other day, and so many of you have told me that you already picked it up after seeing it, because I am not kidding you guys. This is the comfiest robe ever since I've purchased this. I almost kind of think I need to get another one that comes in white and gray, and I kind of want to get the gray one too because it is so comfortable. It's literally like wearing a blanket around your house, and especially going into fall and winter and planning on being postpartum in fall and winter, this is amazing. I will put a link for it down below too because it is so comfy. It's basically a dupe for the Barefoot Dreams robes, which I know everyone loves. But I wanted to just kind of chat about my mindset as I'm getting closer and closer to being in labor. My last labor experience was really amazing. It was a very textbook delivery. I had a planned home birth, and it was basically as textbook as you can get with labor and birth. I, as a first-time mom, was just really excited about having a baby in the first place, and I was a doula before I ever had a baby myself, so I had supported people in labor I knew a lot about labor and birth and what to expect, but there's nothing quite like going through birth to really get a good understanding of what it's like. And whenever I was anticipating labor last time, I didn't have any anxieties. I didn't have any fears. I knew that it was going to be uncomfortable, and I knew that it was going to be intense. I knew that there was a lot that could happen. But ultimately, the biggest fear I had was like, what does a contraction feel like? I don't even know what to expect. How long is my labor going to be? Because as a first-time birthing person, it's really normal to have longer labors the first time around. And so I was really nervous that I was going to have, 48-hour labor, and just struggle with that. Like, when will I be done with this was a fear that I had. And I didn't really have huge fears around tearing, but it was probably one of the secondary fears that I had, just because everybody always scares you about tearing. Now knowing more about tearing, I'm not, not worried about it. But that was maybe one of the fears that I had. But I wasn't afraid of labor. I wasn't afraid of the pain of labor or really the intensity of it, because I had no comparison. I had no idea what it was going to feel like, because you only know once you've been through it. Like, someone can explain it to you and you can kind of comprehend it, but it's not even so much the actual pain itself, it's the entire kind of full body experience. If I had to explain it to somebody, and when I do explain it to somebody, I compare it to like being in some sort of other world, right? Like some sort of drugged out situation, because your mind just kind of leaves your body. And I think that is what is kind of creating fear inside of me this time. I know for me, at least, when it comes to fear, I try not to manifest more fear by talking about it and like putting it out into the world. But I think when it comes to these types of kind of deep rooted fears, like I could have a fear of having a long labor, right? And the more I talk about having a long labor, the more I'm kind of manifesting the fact that I would have a long labor. But these deep rooted fears about, like, for me, kind of losing control a little bit and feeling like I don't have control of where my mindset is. That's more of a deep rooted fear. And I think rather than not talking about it in order to not manifest it, I almost think it festers more if I don't talk about it. So I've been trying to talk about it a little bit more. But that is definitely a fear that I am kind of processing and working through, of kind of knowing what to expect and knowing what is coming my way, and now having to make sure that I've worked through those types. It's not trauma, but a similar situation of I've been through it before, and that experience left an imprint on me, and left me with, my own understanding of what this next experience is going to be like. And that creates another layer that I kind of have to process and break down, which I didn't have to do with my first labor because I had nothing to compare it to. So going into this birth, just feeling like I have a really good, mental capacity when it comes to letting myself be in the moment and experience the kind of out of control sensation without dipping into anxiety. Because if you've ever been in a situation where you feel like you're out of control, the first response often is anxiety, and panic a little bit. And so I'm really trying to make sure that I'm spending some time in thought and journal and meditation on the idea that being out of control and being like not inside of my body and kind of like letting myself just have the experience isn't something to respond with anxiety about, and isn't something to panic about. Because I definitely had a moment last time. If you don't know much about my birth story, I will link a video. I did a whole video like talking about the whole experience, but one thing that I did experience was that it was really quick. It went from 0 to 100 kind of really rapidly, and that was exciting because I didn't have to be in labor for 24 hours, but it was also very overwhelming because I had kind of prepped myself to be in the mindset of like, okay, I'm going to be in labor for 24 hours. And it ended up being more of like, I was in active labor from around 11:30 and had the baby at 2:50. So it was a quick turnaround. And there was definitely a moment where I just kind of lost it a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot of it. And it turned into panic and anxiety. And I really want to do my best to allow myself the space to experience that out of control kind of transformative experience without having the response of anxiety and panic, because that really, you know, has an impact on your overall experience of your birth. And although I look back on my first birth with lots of love and a really positive mindset about my entire experience, it was still really scary. Like, I remember feeling very scared and very overwhelmed and just like confused, and like I didn't understand what was going on. My medical provider was not there. She did not make it in time. I delivered the baby without her there, which obviously in and of itself brings a whole other like realm of anxieties. Her birthing assistant did make it there for the last, I think she was there probably like 15 or 20 minutes. And my doula was there for about an hour. But there was definitely just a lot of commotion and stress that didn't need to be there just because I didn't realize what was happening. So going into this birth, I'm hoping that because I have a better understanding of what to expect and kind of how my body reacts to things, and just generally knowing what the sensations feel like, I'm hoping that I can have a little more support throughout the entire birth and have my team get there, you know, well before the baby arrives. But that's another one that I'm just kind of processing, and, you know, not putting too much pressure on myself either, because this could be an entirely different experience. But I also know that birth is intense and birth takes a lot. I mean, it takes a lot of everything. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of mental clarity. It takes a lot of release and surrender. If you've ever done anything like really physically demanding, like if you ever run a marathon, right? Your body is going to keep going. It's your mind that is going to wander and drag and second guess, but your body's not going to stop. If you let your body go, it will continue to go, kind of for better or worse, right? That is something that I'm also nervous about, is letting my body do what it needs to do, and making sure that I allow my mind to relax and let my body do what it needs to do, which I think I did a good job of that last time, but there are definitely moments where I did not do that, and it just makes the experience harder. So I'm hoping that I can change that this time. I'm also processing, you know, my last birth was quick, and so everyone's telling me, well, your second birth is going to be even quicker, and it's like, I don't want it to be too much quicker, but I also don't want to be giving myself the mindset that it's going to be this quick labor and then have a 24-hour labor or 48-hour labor, because that is just as likely to happen as having a short labor. And so there's just, you see what I mean with all these thoughts. And last time I had no other kids. I didn't have a toddler. I was working a 9-to-5. My husband at the time was working a 9-to-5. He was not in grad school. And this time around, we just haven't had the same free time to kind of prepare for this baby. Like, not just around the house. I just mean mentally and emotionally kind of processing the change that's about to happen. You know, Drew has been in school. He's in school, you know, all the time, and he's away from the house in school. And when he comes home, he takes over parenting duties because I've had Wilder all day. And I go straight from parenting into working. And when we aren't working or he's not in school, we're parenting a toddler together. And it just adds another layer again. It's like, it's not that any of these things are inherently bad. It's just another layer that didn't exist for my my first birthing experience. And I feel like it's kind of caught up to me timing wise. Like, I feel like I haven't had enough time to adequately process this huge change that's about to happen. And I haven't been able to like prep Wilder as much as I would hope to prep him. You know, he's 2 and we try to talk to him about it. We've, kind of, you know, given his sister Sissy a name. We call her Sissy. He knows. I tell him to give Sissy kisses, or I ask if he wants to give Sissy kisses, and he will kiss my belly. So it's like, he understands kind of, but I think he kind of thinks Sissy is my belly button, you know, like we got him a doll to kind of help, like a baby doll to help get him into like big brother mode. And he loves playing with the baby doll, but I don't know what's connecting and what isn't connecting. So there's definitely anxieties kind of hanging around whether or not I have adequately prepared him, and we're having a home birth. He's going to be here. My mom is here, thank God, to be with him during labor so that Drew can support me. But I don't know how he's going to respond to me being in labor and like watching me go through something intense like that. We have been watching birthing videos. Of course, I've been showing him what to expect and kind of hoping that he'll understand a little bit before it actually happens, but you know, we just don't really know what's going to go down until it does. So that's another layer that I'm kind of processing. And in general, I've just kind of noticed that last time I was getting closer to my due date, I was like feeling like, okay, any day now I'm ready. And this time around, the closer and closer I get to my due date, the more I'm like, I think I could use a little bit of extra time before you come. And I do think that our babies listen to us. I think that our baby, like, I think she's so in tune with me and my energy. I've never once thought, oh no, I'm going to go into labor too soon and I'm not going to be ready. I think she's going to come when she's supposed to come. And I think when she does come, I will feel ready. But it's just an interesting difference. It's just an interesting difference in mindset of last time. It was like, any day now, I'm already, like, I'm so ready for you. And this time it's more like, I'm so ready for you, but like, I could use a little bit of extra time to mentally prepare myself. This pregnancy has been a lot harder physically. I'm in a lot more pain right now. That I never really had this pain at all with Wilder. But like, movement is hard for me right now. Like, getting up and out of the bed in the morning is physically hard. Like, I have to ask Drew to make the bed now because I can't, like, that motion of bending over and just making the bed is too hard. And like, putting on my own shoes is not easy. So I generally am requesting help from everybody to do a lot of things. I'm just physically like, I don't feel strong enough to go into labor. So stamina is another thing that I'm kind of working through, and remembering that even if I don't feel like my stamina is there, that it is, and I'm going to be okay and I will be able to work through labor, but it's just different than last time, right? And I think that's probably the biggest message that I have been sitting with and just processing, and that I want to talk to you guys about, is just that every birth experience and pregnancy is so freaking different, and that it's okay that those experiences are different, and it doesn't make one better or worse than the other. It just is different. Like, of course it's going to be different. No one thing is exactly the same. But some ways that I am kind of, I don't know, working through these things is just deciding to use different language whenever I am talking about the things that I have anxiety about. And that's one of the, I don't know, basics of practicing gratitude, is just reframing the way that your brain is processing something. So for instance, I was talking about this on Instagram the other day. Usually my journaling practice, I tend to write a page or a page to 3 pages in my journal every time I make an entry. But this time I challenged myself to make one simple statement that altered the way that I was thinking about something that made me feel like I was being, I don't know, like something that was giving me anxiety, which in this moment, or in that specific instance, it was about work and not working enough. I have been having these kind of intrusive thoughts about like, you should be doing more while you're waiting for this baby to come, because you have the time to do it now, and you not doing it is wasting time. Like, you choosing to rest instead of work is wasting time, and you're going to regret it when the baby is here. That is a thought that I have been wrestling with this entire pregnancy, because I make content about pregnancy. And so I've wanted to make so much more than I actually have ended up making, just because this pregnancy has been really challenging. And I, in my head, wanted to just put out, twice as much as I have. So in my journaling practice, in order to help kind of reframe the way that I'm thinking about it, I challenged myself to make one simple statement that kind of turns that anxiety into gratitude, without trying to justify it to myself, without trying to explain it to myself. And I simply said, I can't remember the exact entry, but I simply said something along the lines of, I'm grateful that I like have the wherewithal to rest when I need to rest, and like respect myself enough to listen to my body, and do what I need to do for my body and my baby, period. Like, end of story, period. Didn't write anything else to try and convince myself further. It was just like, that's just a statement. That's just a fact. That's something that I believe. And it has definitely helped me kind of reframe the way that I'm thinking about it. And now whenever I have those thoughts come up, it's a little bit easier for me to remember that gratitude, rather than focusing on something that's negative and a little more like hateful towards myself. So yeah, I feel like it's important to talk about these fears, because even as somebody who, I'm a birth worker, I'm in the birth space, I have a working understanding and knowledge of like the physiological birth experience and what to expect and how to support people and how to support myself best. And I've had a baby before, and I'm a home birth advocate. Even birth workers have fears that they have to process around birth. And if you are experiencing fear or anxiety, or any kind of emotions around birth and going into your labor experience, it's okay and it's normal. And I encourage you to process it as much as you can before you go into labor. Talk about it, journal about it, meditate on it, find yourself a community of people who you can be open with about it, and just give yourself the flexibility and the room that you need to work through it however you see fit. I'm the type that needs to chat about it a little bit and get it off my chest and kind of like release it and let it go. And every time I do that, it helps me process my feelings a little bit more. But I have always been that way. And if that's not how you process things, then just process how you need to process for you. I also think it's super important for me to talk about the things that I'm excited about. And I'm truly, truly so freaking excited to go through labor again. Like, it was such a euphoric and life-changing experience for me. And I know that I'm going to like allow the space for that to be the case again. And I cannot wait for those golden hours after labor, and just the first, like, I don't know, it was almost like a month for us, but the first few weeks after having a baby and just like soaking in those newborn moments. I appreciated it last time around, but watching a child grow and just seeing how quickly they turn into little people. I mean, Wilder is just like a little kid now. Like, he's his own little person, and they just leave that newborn stage so quickly. And I just have a newfound appreciation for it. I think we did a really great job of sinking into it last time and like soaking up every single moment. But I'm just so excited to have those moments again and to be able to soak them up with another baby alongside Wilder and with Drew, and my mom is here. It's just, I'm so excited to have another round of really life-changing memories. And it's okay to have fear alongside that excitement. Just because I have some fear does not mean I am not over the moon and so excited for labor to happen whenever it does happen. I just did my eyebrows and mascara off camera because I feel like I've talked so much throughout this video. I just wanted to finish up my makeup. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me and hearing my thoughts as I am approaching labor. It's always like so therapeutic to talk to you guys. It's so special for me to be able to have this community of you guys around. I love when you guys chat with me over on Instagram and message me and tell me about your experiences. It truly makes me feel just so fulfilled and so happy, and it makes going through motherhood and pregnancy and labor and just the whole spectrum of things so much more manageable and enjoyable, and just being seen by a community of people going through something similar. Even if you aren't going through pregnancy, you guys message me anyways, and it just really, I just want to say how much it impacts me and helps me process things. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me and listening to me chat. I am about to fix my hair and get dressed and head out to my midwife appointment, so I will catch you guys in my next video.